Well, now to the chaos that faced thousands of commuters and school children this morning after the torrential downpours overnight.
Yes, the heavy rain made rivers burst their banks, and at one stage there were 13 flood warnings. And the first big winter floods happened in Todmorden in West Yorkshire, where Chris Kiddie is live for us tonight. Chris.
Yes, I'm by the River Caldy, you'll be able to see and hear the water gushing past behind me. The levels have gone down since this morning. They are still pretty high though, but it was the water coming from the river here which bubbled up underneath the main road here behind me, which closed that road for several hours this morning. It is, as you can see, running freely this evening though, but it was a very different picture in the early hours of this morning here.
Water cascaded off the hills after torrential overnight rain, turning minor roads into rivers. By the time it reached the valley below, it was enough to stop the traffic.
Completely closed. You can't get past the tip down there now.
The main A646 Burnley Road between Hebden Bridge and Todmorden was underwater in several places, water bubbling up through the drains.
This is the weir at Callis Bridge between Todmorden and Hebden Bridge. When the river is this high, the Calder Valley knows it's got a problem.
Fire crews were on standby to pump out flooded homes.
The water is subsiding due to the fact that the rain has eased off quite a lot, but we are just using the drainage that's here to actually to get rid of the water.
Those that could took advantage of council-issued sandbags to barricade their homes as the swollen River Calder inched ever nearer to their doors.
You've lived here 2 months, did you expect this or not?
Well, we knew it might happen. It normally happens once a year, but this is the second time in about 2 weeks.
Trans-Pennine rail traffic came to a standstill for a time after water flooded onto the line at Walsden. Todmorden, though, escaped the worst of the water. Newly installed floodgates were opened for the first time, flooding part of Centrevale Park rather than parts of the town itself.
We've done a lot of work in Todmorden over the last few years. We've spent more than £20 million defending over 200 properties in Todmorden. And we've actually utilised part of that flood alleviation scheme, the Centrevale Park flood storage area, for the first time today. And that's been a great success. The area is designed to flood in times of flood. Outside of that, it's a park and amenity for the community.
The water has now receded, but with more rain forecast, those sandbags might yet be needed again before long.
Let's go back live now to Chris. Chris, are there any flood warnings in operation in our region this evening?
There are indeed. Before I go to those, just some facts and figures from today. We had 12 hours of rain. In 12 hours we had a week's worth of rain here in Todmorden, 35 to 40 millimetres. A couple of major schools were closed along with several primary schools. But as you say, elsewhere there are flood warnings in place, notably in North Yorkshire. These are the ones that are in place this evening then. They are as follows: Huntingdore and Cattle, Knaresborough Caravan Park, Old Walk Bridge, Neyburn Lock, Rowcliffe Caravan Park, Broughton Business Park, Elsack and Masson, all in the North Yorkshire area. There are flood warnings in place, so that means that properties just might be at risk. And we have some pictures, I believe, of York today where the River Ouse is fairly high there. So lots of flood warnings in place this evening. Lots of places where people living near rivers should check if their homes are safe, if their gardens are safe, and make sure that those flood warnings don't turn into something more serious. But thankfully the rain has eased off here, though I think there's more rain forecast over the next few days.
Chris Kiddie, thank you very much indeed for joining us live this evening.